And say a very good morning to everybody. Nice to see you all. Let's have a look at what these markets have been up to in the last little while, in this week in general. So, how did everybody do this week? You guys survived the wildness. We had a lot of Canadian dollar weakness. Most of it came from yesterday. So Thursday, the Canadian dollar just got crushed. It was hanging in there pretty well all week long, and then we had a little bit of this type of stuff here. Let's see. Everywhere I look, it's a headline. There we go. Trade wars are good. Trade wars are good. So, anyways, we see the massive Canadian dollar sell-off, which has been violent to say the least. Um, Pretty well across the board. Specifically in the CAD yen, we're still seeing that yen strength. At the start of the week, we talked about looking for um, looking for yen strength and looking for some CAD strength to eventually make its way into the whole market situation. And so far, well, we haven't seen much of the CAD strength. We've definitely seen plenty of yen strength, but the CAD strength is still waiting, still ready to come. So our real exposure on CAD pairs has been we haven't been doing anything on CAD yen, but specifically CAD Swiss. So I'm holding positions on CAD Swiss, and I'm still hanging on to them, and I'm still looking for this big nice run up here. And I'm not necessarily hating this push down. This is all of my Canadian dollar, risk exposure, and I'm just holding on to my CAD Swiss, letting it play out, looking for that run up into all of these wonderful high probability targets that we have up above. So still looking for that. Still looking for that big push and that big movement. We'll see how CAD pairs play out going into next week. I still very much like the prospect of trading towards some CAD strength with confirmation. So again, my only CAD exposure is CAD Swiss right now. But I think there's going to be some really good opportunities to trade towards some of this CAD strength eventually. So we're not quite there yet, but I think there's going to be some really good trades coming up on that. So CAD Swiss still getting hammered. If you're in this one, long-term trade, keep that position size conservative, and we'll be ready to add into this thing like nobody's business. 2 monthly pivots, high probability targets up above, all kinds of great things in line. So we'll sit on that one and let that play out. But definitely a lot of CAD weakness over the last 24 hours. CAD yen is selling off like crazy. I'm not in CAD yen, not looking to get into this thing yet, or for the next little while. But I am very much paying attention to this 474 bar count 1 hour chart. So lots of good love on that CAD yen in that overextended kind of setup. Now, remember the overextended charts here, especially in yen pairs, can really go for a long time. So we got to kind of keep that in mind. But as this kind of plays out and as that bar count continues to get extended and continues to keep running and so on, I think we're going to see some pretty good possibilities of some high probability trades down here just a little bit. Now, this one's tough because as we talked about a bunch this week, and I commented on this in the chat just about every single day, we have lots of yen strength and CAD debatable strength. So this could get really caught in the mix, and it turns out that we saw more CAD weakness. So this isn't one that we want to dive into yet, but that bar count, this is just kind of what we've been commenting on every day. Is that bar count is getting higher and higher. There's lots of distance between current price and the EMA. So basically, what we're looking for is an opportunity here. We're just going to wait for an opportunity. We're going to wait for some confirmation, some solid price action. We'll trade this thing back up. We'll go for it. So CAD yen looks interesting. Some of the other CAD pairs, looking for the Euro CAD, which has just run away. But still, EuroCAD has a overall really nice uh, lower target situation. So this was a trade that I posted maybe Wednesday that I talked about, and that was this area right here. And I talked about this in kind of the midday video update yesterday, where we were looking for this kind of movement, and we saw about 30 pips of profit before this started to kind of reverse and go crazy and go up the other way. Plenty of time to lock in some on this one, but definitely some big strong movements to the upside. So along with this, here's what's happening on the CAD yen, and this is once again, or excuse me, the Euro CAD. This is once again why I'm so interested in trading this thing down, because we've had a lot of this. See this right here, consolidation breakout, leaving a level, monthly pivot. Monthly pivot, super important, high probability targets, and just more stuff here. Another monthly pivot that's missed. This is another important high probability target, and now we've got another really good high probability target right here. So it's all these levels are kind of lining up on again on CAD pairs that really make them, interesting for some movement towards strength eventually. But we can't rush it, and we don't want to, we don't want to try to scale into this stuff just yet. We got to make sure that we've got some good confirmation. We've got some good reasons to really get into this. But I've been wanting to build some CAD strength positions, and I just haven't seen all the reason to really push that just yet. So we're still kind of waiting and letting that play out, but CAD strength is coming at some point. This is a strong, nice trend, and I think it's going to be reversed with some force. So we're going to be ready to trade the heck out of a lot of these CAD pairs towards some CAD strength. So you can see the Euro CAD's kind of getting up to basically. I mean, let's go to the weekly chart for just a moment. We're getting up into some multi-year highs here. So that little high point up there, all the way up at 161, and that takes us to early 2016. We're already beyond the 2014 highs. So at least the last couple of years, all the way taking us back into 2008-9, we're kind of getting back into those levels. So that's where that's kind of where I'm getting pretty interested in some of these positions is as they head back to some of the major resistance levels or major highs or major lows of the last several years. So I think there's some good opportunity there. Okay, first target, today's daily pivot. All right, yeah, that sounds good. But we've got to get confirmation. We've got to get confirmation. So I'm definitely not recommending anybody get into anything towards CAD strength yet. Let's get confirmation, whatever that may be. And this is, we have some really good high probability levels here, as we talked about. 156.75, 157.60, and there's a daily pivot down there at about 157.00. So let's get some confirmation, and let's be ready to trade some of these CAD pairs lower. We had a pound CAD that we were watching that, looking for that consolidation. We got a little break, ran down 20 pips, and then obviously, has reversed and gone crazy. Still very interested in this whole setup and this whole situation right here, and looking for that move into those bigger, lower targets. But again, we've got a lot of CAD weakness right now, so we're not going to push on those too hard yet. But we are absolutely waiting in the wings and ready for some of that CAD movement. Dollar CAD, same kind of thing. Looking for. I updated this setup yesterday and have this chart alarm set right here. 128.00, 128.10 is what we're looking for the break of right there, and it is still kind of hanging. It's still holding double top right now. We'll see how that plays out, but specifically looking for that little, we kind of started to peak below that trend line just a little bit, so I updated that entry with that 128.10 area, and it's still above that. So again, lots of lots of lower targets, lots of targets towards CAD strength, but it's not ready yet. Not ready yet. Okay, how did everybody do on yen pairs this week? Anybody trade yen pairs this week? I think I posted about 900 yen charts this week or more. I couldn't stop posting yen charts, and there were some really great opportunities there. We had some really nice yen trades that played out basically from the start of the week onward. A couple of noteworthy yen pairs that we talked about. I mean, New Zealand yen, CAD yen, Euro yen, uh, and I think in the do I have in the watch list? I put in pound yen stuff. So watch list items were posted. Monday for everybody. Pound yen's broken below there. We talked about a lot of different scenarios. Euro yen broke that thing like crazy. And so on. So yen pairs, basically, let's peek at some of these yen pairs and some of the updates that we had for the week on the yen pairs. One in particular, anybody get any dollar yen movement? This one I just updated yesterday, and have been updating this kind of all along. But this was specifically the entry from yesterday. Anybody get short dollar yen? Because that's only been a little breakout. Let's say you got a 106.50 entry, nice little late entry there, and it's gone to 105.38. So 120 pips, 120 pips so far. Anyone get some dollar yen movement? Good. Okay, Manjit. Excellent. Excellent. Dollar yen. Yes, that one has been just excellent. Dollar yen has needed to give us a nice little break, and it did. I specifically posted in the video update yesterday, I said, we need to get this dollar yen back to this level. We had this kind of, and this is where I updated this setup. And this is why it's so important to kind of just watch those videos and make sure you're staying up to speed with everything. Dollar yen gave us this kind of a break, right? So this was a trend line that I had posted. And as soon as it kind of started to break out, then I posted some, it pulled back a little bit. But as soon as it kind of started to dip a little bit, I posted an update and said, we need to get back to this rebalance level right here, which was this little consolidation, 106.95 or so. It pulled back to it, and then it just ran. And it ran like crazy and made us some really excellent pips. Um, but that is that's kind of what we were looking for on this dollar yen, and it worked out fantastically well. Joseph, bias, dollar yen long, saw the break, happy to wait. Okay, that is definitely interesting. I'm looking for dollar yen to head lower by probably another 500 pips. Looking for the 100 level on dollar yen, and I think we're going to probably get there with a pretty steady little move. And there will be some opportunities to buy some little dips, I'm sure, and grab 20 and 30 pips up on the way, as it hits support and so on. But I'm looking for this dollar yen, and I've talked about this all week long here. Looking for this dollar yen to make it down into these bigger, lower targets. And I think we're going to be able to get there. I think we've got a good chance to give that push right there and make a nice little run. So that's kind of what I think is where we're headed. We've got plenty of yen strength. We have lurking dollar weakness, as we've discussed so many times this week. And we've talked about the dollar doing this kind of thing, right? We've talked about the dollar either hitting some of these upper levels and selling off, or selling off and then coming back from lower levels to hit these upper targets and causing an uptrend. So for the moment, we're still seeing the dollar. It's kind of tapping some of these very nearby upper levels. I posted a chart. I posted a little update maybe Tuesday where I talked about this right here, right? I talked about this little setup, which was approaching the 50 EMA, which is an EMA I look at, approaching that and having an overbought stochastics right there. So stochastics were overbought. We approached the 50 EMA, and I talked about that being a reversal point for us. And so far it has been. And that's definitely playing out very nicely. And so looking at that and looking at that dollar strength, and I posted a euro chart specifically with that oversold stochastics, approaching the 50 EMA, and we actually had a trade on the euro dollar that I posted, which was this guy right here, and that's worked out beautifully well. Ran up into I mean, it just followed the arrow 100%. So beautiful little trade there. Hopefully, you guys made some money on the euro dollar. But anyway, that's what we're looking for. We're still looking for some of that dollar weakness, and the yen is just full of strength right now. So that's kind of where my dollar yen sell-off analysis has come from, and that's why hopefully you guys can make some good money on this thing. There's a really nice good chunk of support and consolidation around that area, so that's what we're looking for there. Okay, questions, comments so far, guys? Okay, Steve, good. Steve, we chatted a little bit earlier this week. You said you were kind of working with some dollar yen shorts, and I'm glad to hear you made some pips and you made some money. It was a pretty straightforward trade, and we got some good movement out of that. So glad to hear that, Steve. Excellent. Okay, so dollar yen cruising along. Some of these other some of these other yen pairs that we talked about, they all kind of worked out. I wasn't as excited about the New Zealand yen, but this was a chart that I posted, and it actually ended up working out very, very well. It gave us a little bit of a break, some consolidation here. I think I posted New Zealand yen this was just kind of an update of yesterday, and mentioned this kind of an area right here on New Zealand yen, and it ended up breaking, consolidating, staying below the trend line the whole time, and making a nice little run of a few hundred or creeping up on 100 pips. So a good few pips of movement there. So really nice movement on that New Zealand yen. Great profits there. Going back to that pound yen that we've been talking about and discussing on the big term movement here, long term movement. That's this run right here. So we've been tracking this pound yen for a while. This was a setup from last week. This was some stuff we discussed this week here, and it's just continuing to break, and run and go. So that is fantastic. Let's see how this pound yen plays out. It's been pulling back for a good little while. We're seeing plenty of pound weakness, and we're seeing plenty of yen strength. So this is going to be a great opportunity to look for any pullbacks on this pound yen and any opportunities to sell it at higher prices. Right now, it's a little bit oversold for me, and I'm not looking to jump in short right this moment. I want to see some big retests, but I will be ready to short the heck out of this thing when we get something along the lines of this. I want to get back up there just a little ways, and then hopefully at least be able to target that 144 area, and and well beyond. But that's kind of the idea on this pound yen. So it sold off very nicely this week. We've talked about it. We've talked about nothing but yen strength, and everything has played out pretty well. Euro yen. Euro yen's done well. We've discussed this one. We've discussed our 131.50, which it's nicely below, and it's not too far. It hasn't run too far at this point. Entry detail I talked about on Euro yen yesterday was 130.60. Right, we had this beautiful little level right here. We had this breakout, that chop downward, and it pulled right back to that 130.60. Went up a little bit there, 130.70, 80 area, and then it just started selling off again. Euro yen looks really, really awesome for that continuation that I'm talking about into 125. So looking for that, excited about that. I want to see it get down there. We've got a nice little weekly and monthly pivot cluster back here around 127, 126, and 127. And overall, my target's 125. So I'm looking for that, and I'm excited to see that kind of happen. But again, as we've seen, remember, guys, we've seen a lot of yen sell-off, yen strength, yen pair selling off. These guys are going to get a little bit overextended. So this is probably, I wouldn't be surprised if going into next week, we have some, some decent retracement on these yen pairs before they continue that movement towards yen strength. So, it would be a good opportunity to see a little bit of pullback there, see those guys kind of recharge the batteries just a hair, and and make their way, back into a little bit of retracement zone before continuing to sell off. I will not be buying anything yen too terribly soon. As far as trading higher, um, definitely watching that CAD yen because of the hourly bar count. But as far as all the other yen pairs go, I'm not going to buy dips on a downtrend. I'm definitely looking for opportunities to have this downtrend pull back and then short those rallies, sell those rallies, and that's something we got to be careful of. And and again, we have a high probability setup on CAD yen with that bar count, but it's a question I get asked quite a bit, right? And that is, let's look at the really small time frames and just trade those swings. And there's some good stuff we can do with that. But for most people, the after many years of trading and training and so on, most people get themselves into trouble trading on small time frames. I like to trade on small time frames when it is in agreement with, a bigger, more powerful setup. But I just want everyone to kind of be careful. The goal is in trading is to just keep yourself out of trouble. That's the first rule of trading is stay out of trouble, and then and then look for some good setups. So the more we can stay out of trouble, the better. And those lower time frames can get us into a little bit of trouble. But remember, we're trying to buy dips in uptrends, sell rallies, and downtrends. And then we're trying to find, really high probability situations where trend reversals are likely to happen. And so, and that's where, CAD yen has definitely some promise for us there with that high bar count and big distance between the, the moving averages and current price. But, the rest of these yen pairs, let's just be careful. Let's be careful if they decide that they're all going to reverse on us, which could absolutely happen. Anything could happen in these kinds of scenarios. If all the yen pairs decide they're going to start heading back up and just, get really weak again, and we're going to see a major yen trend higher, then that's fine as well. We'll wait for that kind of confirmation, and we'll trade. We'll trade once we have that confirmation. But for the moment, let's stick with these yen pairs. Let's stick with this downtrend, and let's sell the rallies on these downtrends on these yen pairs. So I really like these setups. I think there's going to be plenty more to come there, and hopefully we'll keep seeing some good profits. Okay, questions, comments, guys. What do you guys think? Any questions? Any details? Any things to add to yen? Anything? So as far as dollar pairs go, it's kind of what we've talked about on this dollar index. Let's talk about the dollar for just a moment. Dollar index coming back down, headed towards that monthly pivot. Euro dollar ran up and hit that monthly pivot. Dollar index coming down to hit this monthly pivot. But remember, we're creating some levels here, right? We're as I discussed, we on this movement. I think earlier in the week I talked about this being a vulnerable movement right there, creating some instability. And then what happened? It kind of trickled higher, and here we are headed back down. Now we've created some instability here, so it's kind of we're not getting here's kind of the moral of the story. We're not getting on all of these pairs. We're not getting really strong, steady trends. We're getting kind of short spurts, right, where we get this choppy consolidation garbage and then just shoots, and then kind of grinds a little bit higher and shoots, and so that creates instability in a movement. So now we've got this dollar index with 90.58 being an important level. So now that's going to kind of create more pressure for this thing to get back into that upper area, and maybe do something along the lines of this, and then before potentially continuing down. Or if that continues to just run down, then this target up here gets really interesting, and then it just kind of keeps negating any kind of trend we can get, right? We get we get far away from a level like that, especially if we get another, shoot and then consolidation, and then it runs down into, into this support zone down here, and it just kind of keeps, canceling itself out as far as any kind of trend goes. So as we continue to get this, push and pause type situation, it makes it hard to get much long-term movement there. But I think we still have more. I think we still have a little bit more dollar weakness to come. This 88.50 area is a pretty good support, but I think 84.50 is a better support, and I think we're headed down into that zone. We've just basically had. I mean, if you look at this long-term chart on the dollar index here, big slide, pretty nice pullback, big slide, lots of consolidation, and lots of just total sideways movement right here. I mean, it looks like a Christmas tree, right? We got all this red and green everywhere. And you can see on these daily charts, we've had a few bottoming out efforts and so on, and it just can't really seem to make any new highs. We had kind of a topping out. That high is that high right there, and away we go again. So consolidating after a downtrend at a support level, with failures to make any new highs, basically tells us this downtrend is continuing on. And again, I like this chart. I think this is a great chart right here. 50 EMA, over Boss Stochastics, away we go. So that's kind of the dollar outlook. So find pairs that are trading strong, trade them against the dollar. Any pairs that are trading weak could be tricky dollar setups. We've got Aussie dollar that was showing some weakness, but then so is U.S. dollar. So then when we get on the Aussie dollar, we get a bunch of sideways movement in the last 24 hours. But it's been a good, breakout, a good mover. But let's find those pairs that are still showing, a lot of strength. So that's why, once again, I love the dollar yen. Lots of yen strength. Lots of potential dollar weakness. And anything else that we can find. CAD, dollar CAD's going to be tricky. Those are both weak. We don't want to trade those, yet. Aussie dollar, US dollar, both weak. We don't want to trade that. Euro dollar, US dollar, Euro's strong right now. Euro showed a little bit of strength. Dollar's weakness. That's why we had this trade right here. So that's a great little setup and a great little trade to look for. Pound dollar, U.S. dollar. We're seeing pound weakness, dollar weakness. We don't want to trade that one. We just want to find, let's match that strength and weakness and just put those two together and go for it. We had a great move and a great trade on that dollar Swiss. So just kind of keep those guys in mind. Watch for that strength. Watch for that weakness. Again, look for, excuse me, just look to pair those strong and weak pairs together. So, we've got CAD weakness, yen strength. So let's take it easy on that one. We've got, Aussie weakness, yen strength. That's a good one, right there. So yen has kind of been ruling the roost a little bit here. And there's that Aussie yen that has just run so nicely down into, a really crucial support level. So that's kind of what I think we should be keeping our eyes on. The Aussie yen hasn't made too many crucial levels for us to want to really kind of work our way back to. There's a few of them in here. That right there, 83.40, does have a little bit of interest for me. And that's kind of it. We have the monthly pivot up here as well. We have a weekly pivot all the way back there. So let's see if we can get some bounce on this Aussie yen, and then be ready to kind of sell that rally as it happens. But that's kind of what we're looking for, guys. That's what I think we can really make some money on this coming week. Is just really targeting, the strong and the weak, and putting those two together. So let's do that. We want to build some CAD strength positions. We definitely want to do that, but we've got to get to a point where the Canadian dollar is confirming that there is some strength to even work with. We want to keep trading. Some yen strength, but yen pairs are getting pretty overextended. So, a couple of things to talk about here. Um, for the CAD, still waiting on strength. And then yen pairs, getting over extended. I don't really know if that's one word. I'm going to assume it is. Euro. Let's stay on the strength side of it. So keep with strength for now. U.S. dollar. We're watching for further weakness, and I think we're going to get that. CAD. Oh, we already talked about CAD. Aussie. We're still, Aussie's a little bit mixed to and then New Zealand, not really super closely watching New Zealand anything right this moment. So I think these will kind of, keep us on track, right? Keep us on the right course for where we should be kind of pushing some of these pairs. So yen definitely getting overextended. CAD definitely looking for some strength, but we're not going to step in front of that downtrend yet because it's still a strong one. Euro showing some signs of some good strength. Pound has some good weakness. I could have put that one in there. U.S. dollar, I think we have some coming weakness on U.S. dollar, so let's be ready for that. And then a little bit of Aussie weakness. So we should be able to grab some pips out of this market. There's going to be a few scalping opportunities next week. There's going to be some long-term opportunities next week. Remember the seasonality of trading as well. This is a time where trends can push and trends can also have massive reversals. So as far as the dollar goes, I'd like to see the dollar really really continue towards some major weakness, have one more push lower, and then I would get very long-term bullish U.S. dollar. Euro is an interesting one. I think long-term I'd rather be bearish Euro, but short-term to medium-term long Euro. Yen pairs, I think we could see a big trend on yen pairs coming. I don't know. I don't know if a huge trend, but I think it's good for several hundred more pips on those yen pairs. And so, as we kind of get into coming into summertime, which we're still a ways out of. I know everyone's posting their pictures of snow and winter and so on. As we kind of start getting into that summer movement, we get big runs. You guys have heard me talk about it a million times. It's my pre-summer push. We get that big run, kind of April, May, June. That's really strong. And so oftentimes that first movement that we're seeing right now, which is, some dollar weakness and, the euro staying strong and the yen is staying strong. That first part of the year movement can oftentimes be pretty heavily reversed going into those, that 1 or 2 or 3 months right before summer. Oftentimes it goes right up into the end, right up into, May, June, we get that big pre-summer push. So anyway, that's what I'm looking for. Hopefully there were some pips to be had for you guys this week. We had a lot of great setups. The CAD definitely, had a wild movement yesterday with the political side of things kind of coming out. But hopefully you guys made some good trades. Everything else worked out pretty much exactly as expected. The yen pairs gave us some great opportunities. The euro gave us some great opportunities. The Aussie pairs gave us some great opportunities. And we saw some good things happen. So, questions, comments, I'm all ears, but that's all I've got for you guys today. I think we've got a great opportunity to trade a lot of this going into next week. I think that's, I'm going to keep my focus on CAD pairs and yen pairs going into next week, and definitely, watching the euro, and we'll see what these Aussie pairs do for us. And, might do a little bit of pound watching next week as well, but definitely yen, CAD. Those are 2 big ones to watch going into next week. And yes, good point, Joseph. Next week is NFP. So we've got non-farm payroll next week. Do we have the CAD is about every other time. So so we've got CAD employment news next week as well. So half the time Canada does it on its own on a Friday without NFP, and the other half the time they share movement. So So CAD employment numbers, U.S. employment numbers could definitely cause some good volatility there. So we'll be ready for that. What do you guys think? Any other questions? Any comments? Any details to bring up? If that's it, we'll wrap it up. But hopefully you guys had a good week. Hopefully there were some pips to be made, and there were some pips to be made, and hopefully we bagged some of those. So thanks everybody. Thanks for being on. Thanks for attending. Nice to see you all. Have an awesome weekend. I'll have lots of details posted and coming up. Thanks, Jeff. Nice to see you. Always good to see you, Jeff. All right, guys. Take care. We'll see you all on Monday for the live webinar. See you guys.